Alright, welcome back everyone to 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. Do forgive me for calling the new game time net dilemma. It's not time, no, I even mixed that up there. I was calling it zero net dilemma when it's actually zero time dilemma. That's what the actual game is going to be called. It's supposedly the last one in this series, the Zero Escape series. Yeah, I was getting it confused with it. I believe it's called Net Zero High. Okay, well, why don't we go ahead and continue? So I'm going to try and get all the endings, but I'm first going to try to go to the true ending and then get the bad endings later. So in order to do that, we need to go through. That would be fine. He would go through door 4 with Lotus, Santa, and June. Why had Junpei even considered doing otherwise? He would be there for June, for Akane Kurashiki. That seemed good. He felt it was the right choice to make. He watched the other 4 walk toward their door. Ace, Snake, Clover, and Seven. Junpei said nothing as they left. Before long, they had reached door 5. They talked to one another for a few seconds, saying things Junpei couldn't hear, and then laid their hands, one by one, on the scanner panel of the red. Ace grabbed the lever. His face tight with determination, he turned over his shoulder to look at Junpei and his companions. Goodbye. Be careful. As Ace pulled the lever, the door swung open, the mouth of a great hungry beast. Beyond the door, Junpei knew, lay the sad remains of the 9th man. It did not surprise him that Ace, Clover, and Seven hesitated. The body was not a pleasant thing. Snake had no such problems, as his blindness made him immune to the horror. He stepped through the door, his feet making a wet splack in the pool of blood. Do you intend to kill me? I assume you haven't forgotten the door only remains open for 9 seconds, have you? Snake had not even bothered to turn around, but the other 3 steeled themselves and stepped through the door. Door 5 swung shut, closing with the heavy finality of metal upon metal. Junpei and his companions scrambled to the door. They pressed their ears to it in an attempt to hear what might be taking place on the other side. It's beeping. It's just like before. Probably the sound of the detonator on the bracelet. Do you think they're okay? Jun's face showed her concern more plainly than her words ever could. Almost as though in response to her question, a voice rang out from the other side of the door. It was Seven. Hey, there it is! That's gotta be that dead thing. Come on, get over here. We gotta authenticate. The beeping stopped. The sighs of relief were audible even through the heavy door. Whew, looks like it stopped. Junpei and his companions leaned away from the door and breathed a collective sigh of relief of their own. Hey guys, are you doing all right over there? They'd heard Seven's voice, but it wouldn't hurt to be sure. Yep, we're fine. Despite the recent danger, Clover's voice was as bubbly as ever. Oh, hey, I'm gonna tell you about this whole dead thing, okay? The dead is just like the red, but the color's different. You know how the red was red? Well, the dead is blue. Other than that, it's just like the red. Authenticating is the same too. Awesome, thanks. That helps a lot. Well, we should probably move on now. You be careful out there. Roger that. Junpei and the others left door 5 and headed toward door 4. They stood in front of the red and placed each of their hands upon it. 4 asterisks appeared on the screen. Junpei grabbed the lever and turned around. You guys ready? Yeah. Sure. Let's go. None of them looked particularly optimistic, but their faces were set. Junpei nodded to them and turned back toward the red. All right, let's go. With strength and determination, he pulled the lever. Run! The 4 of them leaped through the door together. The moment they had passed through it, each heard a cold, electronic sound coming from their left wrist. In the center of each bracelet, a red skull appeared and began to flash. The detonator's countdown had begun. In the long moment that each of them spent staring at their wrists, the number door behind them closed, the sound of metal on metal reverberating down the hallway. There is no way back now. They were committed. If they could not find the device to deactivate their detonators. Hey, where the hell is the dead? How would I know? Don't give me that crap. Start looking. I already am. The hallway they found themselves running down was a long one, easily 300 feet in length. On the right side of it stood a series of wooden doors, all nearly identical. If they had taken time to think, they would likely have discerned that the doors lead to cabins. Don't tell me the dead is in one of those rooms. Oh no, how many rooms do you think there are? Junpei was too frightened to count properly, but at his best guess, there were 7 or 8 of them. Ah, fuck! There wasn't time to count them to be sure. Junpei ran to the nearest door. He grabbed the knob and shook it, hard. Ooh, that's what he said. Oh no. That is a dirty line. It wouldn't open. It didn't feel locked. More like someone had hammered an iron plate over the other side of the door. Junpei turned around to find another door, and saw that his companions had already run to doors of their own. They did not seem to be having any more success than he had. Their own words confirmed his fears. Shit, this one's no good. Same here. There's no way these people are dead. It's not moving. Jun was the last to speak up. As Junpei looked in her direction, his eye caught something he hadn't noticed before. A small red light. It flashed at him, dimly, from the end of the hallway. That's it! Over there! Even as he yelled, he ran. He grabbed Santa, Lotus, and Jun and pulled them toward the light. Hey, how many more seconds do we have? How would I know? Our time limit is 81 seconds. I know that, goddammit. I'm asking you how many seconds we have left. Just do it. Just run. In all likelihood, Junpei figured nearly a minute had already passed since the door had closed behind them. If that was true, urgency foremost in all of their minds, they arrived at the end of the hallway. The dead sat on the left wall, blinking almost tauntingly at them. Hurry! Junpei grabbed hold of the machine, his hands slick with sweat and shaking. He slammed his hand against the scanner panel. The other 3 quickly followed suit. With a grunt, Santa yanked the lever downward. Looks like it stopped. His hands beginning to steady, Junpei wiped away some of the sweat that had bearded on his forehead. As they caught their breath, the 4 companions began to look around. At the end of the hallway lay a heavy-set-looking set of double doors. Set into the walls of the hallway on either side of the larger door were two smaller ones. They all needed inspecting, but Junpei began with the largest of the three, the double doors. How many times had he come across similar doors with similar results, he wondered. Or perhaps, he corrected himself, more a lack of results. Whatever the reason, the door remained firm and unyielding, and refused to allow Junpei or anyone else passage. Near the handle was a small keyhole. Above the keyhole was a small symbol engraved in the brass. Mail? The Mars symbol. He wasn't quite sure what to make of it, and stared at it for a moment in confusion. It was June that corrected him. No, that's not the symbol for mail. I mean, it is, but that's probably the symbol of Mars, considering the theme we've come across. Well, technically they are the same symbol. Thank you, June. I said that, not you. But I saw a number of similar symbols near the main stairway. The symbols of the solar system. The Sun, Saturn, the Earth. At least that's what I'm assuming. So this isn't the man symbol, it's a symbol for Mars. Yes. I think so, yes. While Junpei and June talked, Santa had disappeared, because he can't be arsed. They turned to find him some distance down the hallway. He had gone to check the other doors. Eventually, he reached the last of them and jogged back. It took him only a moment to catch his breath again. Here's the deal. None of the other doors open. Then that must mean we only have 2 more doors. Lotus examined the doors on either side of the larger double door. Each one had a metal plate attached to it. Junpei figured they were probably room numbers. The door on the left read B92, and the door on the right proclaimed that it led to B93. Proclaimed that it led to, okay. But still, the use proclaimed, that's kind of big for just a door. All right, let's open him. Yeah. Okay, so doorknob this time. Junpei put his hand on the doorknob for the door that said room 92. Santa moved to the door to room 93. They made it through the numbered door alive. There was nothing more to be afraid of. Junpei and Santa looked at each other and nodded. 1, 2, 3! In unison, they pushed against their respective doors and promptly found themselves in a new room. June followed Junpei as he threw open his door. They turned around and saw that the door on the other side was open as well. Through the door was another person, his mouth agape. It was Santa. What? Hey, it opened. Yeah, it did. Junpei and Santa looked at each other. They had not expected the doors to yield so easily. Lotus's calm voice broke into their thoughts. Maybe this is all part of Zero's plan. I can't say I enjoy being treated like someone's puppet. Well, now we have these 2 rooms. I'm sure there's something in there that will help us get out of here. Let's find it. Santa and I will search this room. Junpei and June search the other one. All right. Okay. It didn't take long for Junpei to spot something that looked like a map. I do want to say that because the iOS version is a visual novel, it's straight up reading. I don't get to do any of the puzzle solving that's available in the 3DS version, which really kind of makes me a little upset, but so, oh well. The next 2 games, that should not be the case. So I'm kind of looking forward to playing the next 2 because of that. A little more investigation revealed that it appeared to represent the ship's internal layout. This ship is bigger than I thought. Yeah, it's probably about 900 feet long. must be one of those fancy cruise ships. Of course, it doesn't really look like a cruise ship. Everything in here is really retro. Even if it's some sort of style choice, there's just too much. Do you remember what Zero said? It's based off the Titanic. On April 14th, 1912, the famous ocean liner Titanic crashed into an iceberg. After remaining afloat for 2 hours and 40 minutes, it sank beneath the waters of the North Atlantic. Do you think maybe this boat and the Titanic have something to do with each other? That's a good point. I doubt he would have mentioned it if there wasn't a reason. Junpei took a moment to look around the room. Do you think this boat is the actual Titanic? No. The actual Titanic? You mean it, like, slipped through time and ended up here? Before the ship sunk on April 14th, 1912? Huh? What the hell are you smoking? There is some precious dialogue and sentences in this game. Huh? Did I get it wrong? No, that's not... I mean, come on. That... slipped through time? Seriously? I was talking about the controversy surrounding the Titanic. Controversy? What do you mean? Haven't you heard of it? It's pretty famous, you know. The Titanic has a sister ship that was essentially identical. It was called the Olympic. Oh, yes, I have heard of that. If I remember correctly, the Olympic was a ship that had a lot of problems. And the company that owned it didn't know how to get rid of it, right? So they made the Olympic up to look just like the brand new Titanic. And then they sunk it, on purpose. That's right. They also took out a huge insurance policy on it before it set sail. Oh, I see. I've not heard of this. That would mean that the real Titanic never sank. Yeah, the ships got swapped. The real Titanic was renamed the Olympic in secret and was used as a passenger ship for more than 20 years. Hey, wait a minute. Wouldn't that mean it retired in 1935? Huh? Well, yeah, I guess sometime around then, yeah. Well, what happened to it after that? I heard it was dismantled. Dismantled? Then it doesn't matter, does it? Whichever boat the real Titanic was, it doesn't exist anymore. It was either retired and dismantled, or sunk in the Atlantic by the curse. Oh my god, girl. You gotta keep your mind in the real world here. I know that it's kind of crazy, this little game you're playing, but curse and slipping through time. But then that would mean that this ship is... Wait, what did you just say? Huh? Sank in the Atlantic because of what? The curse. What do you mean, a curse? A curse is a curse. This one is the curse of the Egyptian mummy. Oh my god. Girl's crazy. Supposedly, the Titanic carried the mummy of the priestess Amon-Ra, which was stolen from a pyramid. And they say that the mummy had a history. Everyone involved with it died mysterious deaths. Come on, I'm sure you've heard of it before. What circles do you hang in? Those who open the coffin will be forever cursed. Haven't you ever heard that one? So you're saying the Titanic sunk because of that curse? That's right. That's stupid. I don't buy it. It's true! How can you be so sure? That mummy wasn't just a normal mummy. It was really mysterious, totally unbelievable. What is so unbelievable about it? Well, supposedly, she was really pretty. Pretty? But she was a mummy. That's right. She wasn't all shriveled up or rotten or anything. She looked just like she was alive. Oh, I get it. It's that thing. I don't remember the name. Where your body turns into some kind of wax. If a dead body is put in the right sort of environment. I believe there was like a frozen girl that they uncovered that was much like that. Where she was frozen and her body was like perfectly intact. And like it looked like she had a waxy look to it. The fat in it turns into something kind of like candle wax, right? And yes, saponification, but that's not what it was. How do you know this shit? Huh? That's not it. She wasn't wax. Then what is it? They say that she was frozen. See, I know my stuff too. But I'm bored as fuck online sometimes, and I come across this stuff in the rabbit hole of YouTube. What? Frozen? That's right. The whole body was frozen solid. You know how a human body is more than 60% water? Well, all of that water was frozen. The story says that from the time of its discovery, all the way through to when it got put on the Titanic, and even though it was carried through the desert, her body never melted. Jun and Junpei talked a little more, and then went back to their investigation. But even as they did, his mind went back to what she'd told him. Ice that wouldn't melt, even in the desert. Could such a thing really exist? Now, even if it did, it wouldn't really be ice anymore, would it? The more he thought about it, the more his head hurt. Like he'd eaten his ice cream too fast. He couldn't get his mind off it, so he decided to go back to room 93. Santa and Lotus were there, and he was worried about them. Just as Junpei stepped into the room, Santa looked up. Oh, hey, good timing. Here, take this. Santa pulled something out of his pocket. It looked like a bookmark. It had a 4-leaf clover in it. What is this? I found it in between some of the cushions on the sofa. Pretty sure it ain't gonna be any help to us. But I figured we might as well hang on to it anyway. Then why don't you hold on to it? Santa gave him a wry smile. You know what I hate most in the world? I got 4 things. Hope, faith, love, and luck. He's one of those people. Hope, faith, love, and luck? Damn straight. And you hate these things? Yeah, you got a problem with that? Not really, but... Junpei tried to figure out how best to phrase what he wanted to say. What does a bookmark have to do with any of that? Santa scratched the back of his ear and looked awkward. Well, see, each leaf on the 4-leaf clover has a meaning to it, okay? And that meaning is pretty much those 4 words. It's like a flower language. Well, I guess it's not a flower, is it? So a leaf language, I guess. Yeah, you could call them leaf words. Leaf words? Junpei looked at the bookmark. Hope, faith, love, and luck. So yeah, I want you to take it, okay? Just touching it gives me the creeps. Take the damn thing, alright? With a shudder, Santa shoved the bookmark into Junpei's hands. He looked at the other man oddly, but tucked it into the pocket of his vest. Okay, sure, I'd be happy to hold on to it. Oh, man, I feel a lot better now. The thing was a real pain, you know? Do you really hate those 4 words that much? Yeah, well, they can all betray you, you know. Hope, faith, love, even your destiny. What had happened to Santa, Junpei wondered. How would he become such a bitter person? For a moment, they looked at each other. Well, that's not my only reason. What? That's not the only reason I hate the four-leaf clover. I just can't bring myself to like the number 4. What? Worried about the 4 horsemen? Nah, come on, man, that's just silly. Then why do you hate 4 so much? 'Cause it's a half-assed number. Not the best or the worst, that's why. What? 9 is a way better number. So what if it's last place, right? At least it's not some lame-ass middle number. Santa's explanation made no sense. Junpei was even more confused than before. You play? Play? What, you mean like play the stock market? Nah, that's not what I mean. Why the hell would you think that? I mean, yeah, I do stocks too, but... Oh, this character. This last statement, made more or less thrown away by Santa, caught Junpei very much by surprise. You? A stockbroker? Yeah? Got a problem with that? He just wants to fight. No, you just don't look like the type. What Junpei didn't say, of course, was that he didn't think Santa looked smart enough to be a stockbroker. Man, that stuff's just like gambling, you know? All you gotta do is bet on the winning horse. Nothing that hard about it. You sure sound pretty confident. So, are you betting on winning horses? Of course I am. You remember a couple years back when the stock for Cradle Pharmaceuticals shot through the roof? Stacked a few bills over that, if I do say so myself. Uh-huh. Betting on horses is a common gambling. Is a common gamble here in Japan. Uh-huh, was all Junpei could think of. He never even heard of Cradle Pharmaceutical. Anyway, forget about that. What I meant to talk about was Baccarat. I hope I'm saying that right. In Baccarat, the best possible hand totals 9. They call it Le Grand. But the lowest, most worthless cards, the zeros, they call Monkey. Just like the guy in charge of this game, huh? Santa blinked, utterly stunned. Then he began to laugh. Oh man, you're totally right. The guy who trapped us in here sure is one hell of a monkey. That was when Lotus spoke up. You know, if you think about it, the nonary game is really a lot like Baccarat. Apparently she'd been listening. Of course, it doesn't use any of that stupid digital root junk. You just drop the tens digit and that's it. Still, it does have the same idea of your final number needing to be a single digit. Oh, yeah, I guess you got a point. And in both games, whoever has 9 wins. The person who makes 9 wins. Did you forget already? Don't you remember what Zero said? The exit is hidden, but it is there. Seek the exit. Seek the door that carries a 9. So if we want to get off this boat, we have to make a team whose numbers have the digital root of 9. And only the people in that team are going to make it out alive. That's why it's called the nonary game. What? Huh? You don't know? Nonary means something derived from 9 or base 9. It's derived from the Latin prefix nona, which means 9. While we're at it, the prefix for 1 is uni. You know, like the unicorn, the horse with 1 horn. 2 is bi, like binary. Binary means composed of 2 parts. 3 is tri. I'm sure you've heard that one plenty. Like trio, triple, and triangle. You get the idea. After that, you have quart, quinti, sext, septim, and so on. And of course, the prefix for 8 is octo, like octopus. It's called that because it has 8 legs. Get it? I see. So the Nona means 9. So, how many of us are trapped on this ship? That'd be 9. And what are the bracelet numbers we have? They go from 1 to 9. And our time limit? How many hours did we have? 0 said 9 hours. And finally, to get out of this ship, we need to find the door with a 9 that's hidden somewhere in the ship. By making a team with the digital root of 9. Lotus nodded. And there you have it. The number 9 is everywhere in this game. He's got a real theme of 9s for this whole thing. No wonder it's called the Nonary game. Somewhere far away, Junpei heard the creak of stressed metal. It sounded almost like Zero laughing at them, or the sad, desperate scream of a pig headed to the slaughterhouse. Junpei made his way back to room 92. Jun was still there, her condition unchanged. Her condition being weird as hell. Oh yeah, how's your fever? You feeling better now? Yes, I'm feeling fine. Jun certainly looked fine. Junpei held his hand on her forehead for a few seconds. It seemed her fever really had gone down. Are you worried about me? Hey, come on, it's not like that. Junpei did his best to act as though he didn't care. His best wasn't very good. It's exactly how you get a woman. Act like you don't give a shit about them. We love that. I guess you haven't changed at all, Junpei. She giggled. By the way, Junpei? How did you end up here? What do you mean? I told you earlier, didn't I? There was a man with a gas mask when you got home at night. You inhaled some white smoke and passed out. When you woke up, you were on D deck. Yeah, that's it. But is that really the truth? What? Junpei, are you hiding something from me? No, why would I? Well, if you think about it, this is awfully suspicious. I mean, why would two childhood friends bump into each other in a place like this? Hey, I could ask you the same thing. Are you hiding something? What would I hide? Well, I don't know. Anything. I mean, you're hiding it. How would I know? You mean like the number of men I've dated? Junpei's heart stumbled over itself. Do you want to know? This girl. She's going to entertain me through this game. Or this novel, I guess. He had to admit, he was a little curious. Don't worry. She smiled at him. Only 18. Oh, that's... Wow! Okay, girl. Times 0. Yeah, I guess I just haven't met Mr. Right yet. June looked a little embarrassed and scratched the back of her head in a desperate attempt to seem nonchalant. Junpei coughed quietly in much the same way. Anyway, I'm not hiding anything. Just like you, Junpei. When I woke up, I was on D deck. Well, you do have a point. I mean, why did Zero pick us? We haven't seen each other since elementary school. June nodded, and for a few moments she had the faraway look of someone in deep thought. Look for what connects the victims. That will lead you to the culprit. Do you remember Seven saying something like that? Yeah, I do. So? Well, that's what I'm saying. I think this must all have something to do with a classmate of ours. You got any ideas who it might be? No, nothing. Oh. Well, if it had something to do with school, then it could be one of our teachers, or maybe the principal. Or the janitor, or the lunch lady. No, I can barely remember any of them. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they wouldn't be able to remember the lunch lady or the janitor, because they don't really see them in a Japanese school. Elementary school. Was there anything strange that had happened in elementary school? Junpei racked his brain as he trudged back to room 93. Santa and Lotus were facing away from the doors he stepped in. They were standing side by side, staring at the picture that hung at the end of the corridor. What's that? He tried to peer over their shoulders. Without turning around, Santa spoke. Don't know, but there's just something about it. She looked at the picture and paused. I think I've seen this picture before. Where? In a book. There's a British biochemist named Sheldrake. He has a rather interesting theory. I saw this picture in his book. What's this interesting theory? Morphogenetic field, which relies on the theory of morphic resonance. Man, I can't deal with this. Just listening to you talk about it is giving me a headache. Santa put his hands on his head, as though he were in great pain. Lotus merely arched an eyebrow in his direction and continued. It's not a difficult concept to grasp. In essence, he states that the shapes of living organisms and their behavioral patterns are transmitted through a field not visible to the eye. What part of that isn't difficult exactly? Lotus did not look pleased. All right, how about this? Theory of the telepathic mechanism. Telepathy? Yes, telepathy. Well, perhaps not exactly telepathy, but it is close enough for a simple approximation. Santa suddenly burst into laughter. Are you serious? Telepathy? Who do you think we are, kids from the 70s? I can't believe someone would actually do serious research on something like that. Yes, I agree. Lotus's response was surprisingly curt. Junpei had expected at least some conflict. I read the book, but I can hardly say I understood it. I'm in no position to defend or condemn anything it said. It was probably just someone latching on to a statistical outlier from some study and turning it into a ridiculous theory. There's no scientific merit to any of it, I'm sure. But even so, Anyway, I saw a picture like that in one of his books. Lotus indicated the picture they'd all been looking at. After a moment, she walked up to the strange picture, examined it, and then spoke. Hey, what do you think this picture looks like? Santa answered first. What do you mean? Isn't it just, abstract or something like that? It's just black and white scribbles. There's no meaning there. That's it. What about you, Junpei? Does it look like anything to you? Let me see. A koi? See, there's the head and the tail. And this here's the hands and the feet back here. Looks like he's got some wings on his back, too. Junpei pointed to what he was talking about. After 3 seconds of silence, Lotus looked at Junpei. A koi? I can kind of see it. I really don't think that's how a koi looks. Maybe not, I don't know. Junpei, are you just screwing around? Forget it, I'm just gonna tell you. This is a dog. A dog? See? Like this. Lotus pointed out parts of the picture, and eventually a dog took shape in them. Sometimes I'm not sure what sounds are being picked up, but there's a kid screaming outside. Sometimes there's a couple of kids playing. It's getting kind of dark. They should be in their homes, eating dinner, or getting ready for bed. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, well, Now that you mention it, it does look like a dog. Santa also nodded in agreement. So, now we know what it's a picture of, but I don't see how that helps us. Lotus nodded and began to speak. A TV show from Great Britain did an experiment once. They took two similar pictures. Both of them were difficult to identify initially. But once you'd figured out the answer, you couldn't see it as anything else. The first picture was a woman wearing a hat. The other one, well, to make it easier, let's just say it was this picture of a dog. So, their experiment. First, they sent the pictures to other parts of the world where British radio and television didn't reach, to Ireland, the US, Africa, Europe, etc. Then, in each country, they gathered a number of test subjects. All in all, there were roughly 1,000 people. Those 1,000 people were shown the two pictures, and asked, what does this picture look like to you? The results in and of themselves were not terribly interesting. 9.2% of the people saw the lady in the lady picture. 3.9% saw the dog in the dog picture. Then, 2 days later, they broadcast a new show. During the 30-minute show, they broadcast the dog picture and its solution. The audience was estimated to be 200,000 people. After the broadcast, it could be assumed that the number of people who knew the solution to the dog picture now totaled over 200,000 people. After another 2 days had passed, they gathered a number of research subjects from areas where British TV and radio did not exist. This time, they were only able to find a sample of roughly 850 people. Naturally, none of them were people who had participated in the first test. They were, however, given the same test and the same two pictures. The results were shocking. 10% of the people saw the lady in the lady picture. The previous test had yielded a 9.2% success rate. The change was not statistically significant. The dog picture, however, produced a very different result. The percentage of people able to successfully find the dog grew from 3.9% to 6.8%, a very significant increase. So, do you understand? Do you realize the significance of this experiment? There was no way the second group could have seen the picture. They lived far away from Britain and couldn't have seen the picture. But even so, it was only the success rate for the dog picture that went up. Why? How did that happen? What does it mean? We all love dogs. Lotus looked back and forth from Junpei to Santa and back again. Normally calm and collected, she looked now as though she were very nearly possessed, and there was something manic about her manner. Santa took an involuntary step backward. Junpei didn't budge and stared straight into Lotus's eyes. Does this have something to do with that field or whatever it was that you were talking about earlier? A field not visible to the eye? So if more people know the answer, then that information will pass through the field. Psych! Her manner suddenly shifted, and Lotus smiled broadly at Junpei and Santa. She waved her hand dismissively, doing her best to laugh the whole confrontation off. Oh, I was just kidding. You really shouldn't take me seriously. Well, I mean, the things I just told you about are true. They really did happen. But the results of that experiment really aren't anything to go by. They could have easily falsified them. In the end, I'm sure they were just in it for the ratings. They are a TV station after all. Right, man, I gotta admit, you had me there for a minute. I really thought you were serious. Of course not. Like I told you before, I'm sure it's all just pseudoscience. Okay, I'm right. Santa and Lotus laughed and gave one another jovial claps on the shoulder. Junpei, however, didn't feel so much like laughing. Something felt wrong, unclear. All right, enough nonsense. We've got the Mars key, so shouldn't we be moving along? Wait, you've already got the Mars key? Oh yeah, guess we forgot to tell you. There's a puzzle on the other side of this picture. Once we solved it, this thing opened up and the key was inside. Junpei examined the key. It was, in fact, inscribed with the Mars symbol. That's kind of an important detail you somehow neglected to mention. Well, I've told you now, haven't I? Simmer down. Alright, I'm gonna go get June. Thanks, we'll be waiting here in the hall. When he returned with June, they used the Mars key to open the door at the end of the hall.